In 2014, JS Conf.eu gave me the possibility to dive deeper into using JavaScript on a microcontroller to control LEDs based on web audio analysis in Chrome. The result of that talk was a project I called Nerd Disco. And because of Nerd Disco, I had the opportunity to speak at conferences around the world. I've met a lot of amazing people that were interested in the stuff that I love. And some of them created the group Live Jazz with me. Thank you, JS Conf.eu, for giving me the power to believe in myself, to speak in front of people, to see that failure is something normal and only exists to let me grow. Thank you for being you.
We've come so far, and we've reached so high, and we've looked each day and night in the eye, and we're still so young, and we hope
You might wonder how we ended up in this situation.
So yeah, hello Live Jazz. Hello Jazz Conf. We want to show you how this stage was built, and I would love to get the slides now, please, as everything is working.
We don't know yet.
So yeah, there should be slides, and the title of this talk is the making of this stage. And yeah, the second slide shows our logo. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Silke. Yeah, you see, we don't practice anything. We just do everything live. So the clicker's also not working. Yeah, so we are Live Jazz. We consist of different people, but the core team consists of Jan, Martin, Matt, Ruth, Sam, Silke, and myself. And we would like to explain a bit how all of this is working or not in a small presentation. And I will give the microphone now to Silke. Or actually the clicker.
Thank you, Tim. Hello. So we prepared a very easy to understand overview for you about what has happened since about November, since we were planning this. So basically, this is what you know. You see, this is kind of the stage. And you might remember the beautiful presentation of the curators you saw today. A nice keynote. No, Keynote didn't work because, Keynote restricts the width to something about, 4,000 pixels, so we needed to take something else. Keynote, please. Of course, obviously not PowerPoint. So we took Google Slides. They allowed us to get the 8,204 pixels that we needed. And basically, that was our first little hurdle that we overcome. So in this presentation, you might remember many people have already worked on this presentation to make it big, including me, doing some background graphics for that, which also was quite a pain because, if you put in Google Slides, SVG wouldn't work, so you have to go over EMF files, which is a vector format of a very old time, and so on and so on. So that was already a little bit complicated, but actually worked out fine. And of course, in such an intro, you want opening titles, so we asked our beautiful friends from allerzeiten.com to prepare some animations for us, for which they needed Illustrator files, and they did some After Effects magic with it, and the After Effects magic went into, via body moving plugin, to JSON files, and the JSON files were exported to SVG files, and that was basically what you saw thanks Lottie.js. And then you also saw a beautiful live video from Ruth and Sam that went into the pauses, and that you will see and enjoy today some more. That is Canvas and WebGL. And all of this, including Google Slides, to make it work in the browser, because that was what we aimed for, and that was our concept. And then you heard also beautiful music, also made for the browser with web audio from Jan and Matt. And this music actually came from Sam. Thank you, Sam. And everything is here lighted in color, theme, and rhythm by Tim with his custom interface that he did using DMX. Thank you, Tim. And yeah, that's about it. Then we also saw a wonderful, beautiful first animation, because what's a JSConf EU without the opening of the audience's programming? And for the 10th anniversary, we had something very special going on here that was made with WebGL and a beautiful, also live WebGL presentation in order, well, you're guessing it, to work in the browser. Yeah, and somebody had to pull all of this together. Thank you, Martin. So somebody has to take all that stuff and bring it into the browser and switch between stuff. Doesn't always work fine, but it was a sweaty job. Martin did it. And we also had help from Paul, who went up the stage and checked our performance. We actually succeeded in doing a good job. Thank you, Paul. But then Paul broke our browser. But that's okay, happens sometimes. So that is basically, in short, a very easy to understand and non-chaotic overview about what has to happen to do this. Thank you.
Yes, so this was kind of an overview. So now we want to explain all the small moving parts. So what we got from JSConf was a song that you heard, and yeah, we should make a cover out of this. And the only one doing the stuff in our group is usually Sam with his Game Boys. So what he did is he created a chiptune remix using this Game Boy Color you can actually see on the screen. And yeah, you heard it also. And this was not enough. So we also met on Monday evening this week to actually have a Hack Week, Live Jazz Hack Week, with the whole crew. And in the end, we had like kind of this Scrum board with many, many tasks, and hopefully the most important parts are done. And one of the focused things, of course, was the intro. So we actually created some kind of timeline and to be sure what we want to do for the intro. And we also wanted to do more remixes because we have 2 more musicians in our group and they all want to play with the music. And there's, first of all, it's Matt, and the second all is Halfbite, and I think they want to talk about this themselves.
Hey, I'm Matt, and the reason why I'm here with Live.js and at this festival is because in 2015 I was invited to talk about my web audio and Electron-based sequencer, sampler, and synthesizer that I made for my own personal use, and gave a big talk in the Singapore JavaScript conference, and then I met all these wonderful people here, and we've been hanging out ever since. But in the meantime, I've actually stopped using my software with web audio, and I've switched to using actual synthesizers, samplers, and drum machines, because turns out that actual things are better than virtual things. But hey, but for JavaScript conference here, the last JSConf EU, me and Jan thought that it would be wonderful if we actually made a full thing in web audio instead of just using our hardware. One last time for you people. And Jan's going to tell you all about that.
Okay, so yeah, you can. This is all open source now, so you can go there, you can take a look. It's currently it's a little bit hard to play, but we hope that we can fix that at some point, so you can just open a website and play that. So the brief was basically to create a remix from that song from Sam, and we, as musicians, we have certain softwares that we like to use. One of them is Ableton Live, which is a professional music making software, and it was really easy. It's like an IDE for songwriting, basically, and so it was really easy to do sketches in Ableton Live, much easier than programming something. And so we did sketches in there. You can pull in the remix, you can pull in audio, you can do all kinds of things. But at some point, we had to get this somehow in the browser. And the main language that music tools speak still is MIDI. And MIDI is not ringtones or something, like for those of you that remember ringtones. It is a very old protocol from 1983, which allows musical instruments to talk to each other. And it's still in wide use. You can see it here on stage. It's great because it's reliable, it's old, it's robust. Much different than, for example, I don't know, Get User Media or something. And and for some reason, and I still haven't understood why, we now have WebMIDI, which allows us to talk to MIDI instruments from the browser. And so what we could do is still keep all our arrangement in Ableton Live and then send this to this thing that we've actually built over the last 4 days or so, which is a combination of different modules. It's a sampler, it's a synthesizer, it's a playback device. It has lots of effects, a whole bunch of things you can take a look at. And all of this is driven by Ableton Live. And Ableton Live is wonderful because it also allows you to set cue points and everything. So we were able to switch between different scenes of the intro, and we could also send synchronization data to Martin's computer, who would then play certain videos or, not videos, not actual videos, but, animations and 3D animations and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how we built this. Take a look at it. And we hope we can give you something so you can play it back on your own.
Okay. So now let's come to the actual setup on the stage, and this is where Martin should come and say something.
But I think I will just give you some basic facts about the stage. As you can see, it is big. The main screen is something around 40 meters wide and 5 meters high, and that doesn't work so well. Okay, so we have 5 projectors. They are perfectly aligned to create one continuous image. And this one image is 8,000 by 1,000 roundabout pixels wide. We run this from a single PC that has 3 dual HD outputs, and so it outputs like 11,000, but we only have the browser window a little bit smaller than that. So additionally to this big screen and the projectors, we have all these light panels around here. 34 of them, which are controlled by Tim's software. And finally, we have this nice little X over there, which has an interesting story behind it. Originally, it was supposed to be canvas and projected on, but then it turned out that projectors have sort of focus, so we couldn't really project anything sharp on it. So Malte had the idea to put it full of LEDs, and we were almost ordering like 200 meters of these LED strips in order to make it work. Until suddenly someone who would have been responsible for soldering them all together was like, wait, we have these professional LED panels lying around, and maybe you just use them. So these are 17 panels, each of them 192 by 192 pixels. So in total, much more than we we could have bought with LED strips. This is controlled with a single full HD signal, which is a full screen browser window, as you might have guessed. And those are the specs that we received for this, and it works surprisingly well. If you want to create content for it, there is a CodePen somewhere. If you check Twitter JSConf, you should be able to find it, where all these positions are already hard-coded, and you can just like start creating stuff. And we will probably show some of these at least tomorrow. Yeah, and I guess that's it for me. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, Ruth.
Yeah, sorry, this slide is not here. So next thing is Visra. So this is Ruth.
We'll just mention Silke. She did do all the design for everything as well as everything else, by the way. So yeah. My software. So I started building a piece of audio visualization software approximately 5 years ago, I think. This was very much an experiment. We got the Web Audio API about 7 years ago, and I started analyzing it and moving stuff around the DOM. I started playing with SVGs. This is a great idea until you chuck about 100 SVGs at the DOM and analyze audio at the same time and try and move them around. I quickly moved to Canvas, but the software which I'd built, and I've been building it for about 5 years, is this kind of entangled spaghetti code of experimental mess. And I was legitimately gigging with it. It was mixing video to the beat, it was using canvas shapes, it was crashing every 5 minutes, and it was a great experiment, and I had really, really good time making it. But it came to this year, and I thought, it's probably like a good time to start like 0.0001 version of like Visra, instead of 0.00001 version of Visra. And I thought it'd be really, really good if it just did one thing. So for the past, I sort of started it this year, for the past couple of weeks, especially during this Hack Week, I've basically been just trying to get it to a stage where we could use it for the visuals. Sam's been doing some visuals with me as well. He's going to talk about that in a sec. But basically, it's got about 4 moving parts. It's just doing one thing. And I thought I'd focus on my style as an artist, which is, it's generative. It basically just chucks a bunch of canvas sprites with some parameters. So I'm still analyzing audio. I'm using MIDI as well. And it just generates visuals, right? That's it. That's all I wanted it to do. No more video, no more mixing, we're just going to generate some visuals. There's 4 main moving parts. I've got colors turn into palettes. I've got vectors turn into grids. That's going to be cool when I put some physics in, so I'm looking forward to that. And it's got shapes. Shapes are going to make sprites, right? I've got states going on, so I've got MIDI and I've got analysis. So when it came to the X, which was a big focus of this event, Martin already mapped the X, so we could use a normal screen. We knew where the positions were. Silke had made a code pen with the coordinates of where these positions were. So for me, I was pretty okay with past Ruth. She had made a grid system. I could make a custom grid, just map the coordinates of the X, right? So if we take a look at that, there's a great contentious with my software. All I have to do, so this is just a normal visualization running at the moment. I actually can't see what's going on, so this is fun.
Yeah, it's working.
But I can literally just pipe in the coordinates and map nice little squares, like we saw for the opening, which actually didn't take too much effort in the end. So yeah, this is available on GitHub. The URL is there. It is in a state of getting it working for this conference. But yes, that's Visra.
Yeah. So Visra is powering the X, and there we also have a software called ModV, which is powering the whole stage behind me, and Sam will talk about
Indeed.
that.
Hello. So yeah, I'm going to just quickly run you through ModV, and if all goes well, you should be able to see my desktop in ModV in the center. Kind of. The X is kind of in the way, but never mind. Hey. Hey, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. So, yeah, this is ModV. Well, this is a screenshot of ModV. The X is in the way. But ModV is an environment that I've been building in the browser for, I think it's 6 years this year now. It's Canvas WebGL. It's all audio reactive. It's got a whole module system which you can kind of just drop in new modules. So if we just delete everything that's going on, and we can just kind of drop in, I don't know, some sound balls. And then if we just give it some signal at all through the microphone, yeah, so you can kind of see it go in there. But then you can stack this, and it's got a whole UI, and you can build modules for it. But yeah, so to get this working, because ModV has a plugin system, Martin sent me the specs for the widescreen. So this whole widescreen is actually 1080 signal split into 2 sections. So the top section of that signal is the left-hand side of the screen, and the bottom side of the signal is the right-hand side of the screen. So with ModV's plugins, I was able to hook into the draw function in that plugin, and basically just spawn a new output window, and that's actually just running on another desktop here. So if I swipe, that's my desktop background. So yeah, this is just another browser window for the software that I've just kind of tinkering away at in my free time. So it's all open source as well. If you go to modv.js.org, it's all there. But yeah, that's a quick run through, really.
Yeah, so now we are switching to the software that I'm creating, which is called Luminave. I'm also doing this for 5 years now. and I'm controlling the lights. And this is how my software looks like, and it's getting its data based on what ModV is projecting. And you can see in the top I have a grid of colors which I get from ModV, and I'm mapping them to the actual lights that you can see in the venue. And I will just go over to my PC to actually make sense of what I'm saying, so you can see that the lights are working. So yeah, this is all also controllable by a MIDI controller, and I can just add kind of different visuals in ModV, and this is presented live on the lights, which is pretty cool, I think. And all of this is connected to the DMX world using a custom created WebUSB DMX 512 controller, as you can see it here, using an Arduino and a DMX shield. And this is everything in the browser. There's no server running at all. So you can control lights that are actually everywhere just with a browser window, which is super cool, I think. Yeah, and that's like how we build the stage and how we work together to actually give you this live show. And you see there are a lot of moving parts which could go wrong, even especially if you're just using everything in the browser. And to give you some kind of goodie, we released the song that Sam created on SoundCloud. You can find it on his SoundCloud if you want to. Yes, and that's it from the talk perspective. We will do now the remixes and the show again, so have fun.
Yeah? I'll do it. Okay.
Live.js Remix.